We're going to spice up taco night with 3 super simple recipes that are perfect for the brand new griddle owner. Tacos Dorados are basically an easy way to make a regular ground beef taco go to the next level by utilizing all the space on your griddle and frying the outside. So you get your griddle to about 375 to 400 degrees and put down some oil. Then we'll add 1 small diced white onion. Let that cook for a minute or 2. Add a pound of ground beef next to it. Season both of these with taco seasoning. You can buy one of those packets. You could make your own. Or I'm just using Blackstone's fajita seasoning because that's what I had laying around. Close enough, right? I smashed down my beef to get more surface area touching the griddle. Then I mixed the onions in and started chopping it up into small pieces, like regular ground beef. FYI, I'll have all these recipes linked in the description below. After the beef is cooked all the way through, I will put it in a 9x12 glass baking dish. I'm going to then add an 8-ounce block of shredded Colby Jack cheese. I get the block and shred it myself because I feel like it melts better, but if you get the pre-shredded, that's fine. It should still work. Also, you could do this in a bowl, but I like the baking dish because after I'm done, I'm going to use the baking dish to transport all these tacos back inside. And it's glass, so it's fine to be next to the hot sides of the griddle. Set that aside and let's scrape down our griddle top. Once it's clean, I'll add about 3 tablespoons of peanut oil. I like to use peanut oil when I fry because it feels like the tortillas get more crispy that way. I have no evidence of that. It's just a completely biased personal opinion. Let the oil warm up for 1 to 2 minutes before putting down my corn tortillas. So I got 16 corn tortillas here and I will put them in the oil, let them warm up for a minute, flip them over to get the other side warm, then flip them back again. I want the first side that went down in the oil to be the outside of my taco because it has the most oil on it and it will crisp up. Hopefully that makes sense. That's just the way I do it. I don't know if that is even necessary. You could maybe just leave them on the first side the whole time, but that's how I do it. Okay, now that they are flipped, I will start to add my beef and cheese mixture. I'm just using the end of the spatula and eyeballing it, but you want roughly 2 to 3 tablespoons of the mixture into each taco. Don't put it right in the middle, put it off to the half side of the taco so that we can fold them over. Then go ahead and fold over all your tacos. Let them cook for about 2 minutes per side or until they are crispy golden brown. Then load them back up into the glass dish, take them inside, add your favorite toppings, and you're good to go. Next is our carne asada. This was so good, so easy. Gotta do this. You get the chuck steak from Meyer that was already sliced, and it even said carne asada on it for dumb gringos like me that don't know. And it was about a pound each, and I got 2 packages. My Kroger also carries something similar to this, so hopefully you can find this pre-cut at your grocery store. If not, maybe you could just get some chuck roast and cube it up, or ask your butcher if they can slice it down like that. I put the beef in the freezer just for about a half hour to make it easier to cut. Then when I pulled it out, I cut it into 1/2 inch cubes. Make sure that you leave the fat. We will be rendering out and cooking out all of that fat. Into a large bowl for mixing, I'll add seasoned salt, garlic powder, and some pepper. I eyeballed it, but again, I have exact measurements for a good starting spot below in the recipe. Or if you can find something like this seasoning that one of the viewers sent me of my channel, it's like a complete carne asada seasoning. It worked out great. I did these tacos twice because they were so good. Also, I can't remember who sent this to me, and I tried to find the comment, but thank you so much for sending it to me. Then 1 whole lemon juiced in there. I modified this recipe from a video I saw by Cooking with Kirby. I'll link to his channel below. I usually use limes, but he used lemons, so I did it too, and it turned out great. Give everything a nice mix together, then let's go turn on the griddle. So I did medium-low on the 2 middle burners, then low on the outside burners. I'm trying to get my griddle to around 325 degrees surface temperature. We'll double check it with my ThermoPro 2-in-1 thermometer. It's still a little low, just approaching 300, but that's okay because we're gonna get there anyways. And I'm doing this at a low temp to render out the fat and slowly cook this. That's what Kirby did, and it just made so much sense to me because that's the way I've been doing cheesesteaks for a while, ever since I saw a guy who runs a cheesesteak shop in Philly. He went over it in a video about how he keeps his flat top around 300 and it just kind of renders out all the fat, and I was doing them way higher. So same process here. So we'll go ahead and toss all the steak together on the griddle, then spread it out thin. You want all the pieces of steak to touch the griddle, but not piled up on each other. But you want them touching each other, you don't want space in between each piece, if that makes sense. That way, as the fat renders out, the steak is cooking right in that fat. So you'll see me using like the back of the spatula to flatten it out, but they're still touching. Sorry about all the steam, it's like 20 degrees here in Ohio right now. So after a few minutes of cooking, you can see all the fat and juice coming out, and push that back towards the steak. Don't let any of it go down the grease trap or anything. We're cooking the steak in this fat. So I spent like 10 minutes or so pushing the fat back in. This is a slower cook. I probably had the steak on the griddle for like 15 minutes, maybe 20 total at that low temp of 300 to 325. Then once most of the fat is gone, you'll start to get a little color on your steak and it's ready to be pulled from the griddle, or just push it to the side. I have some more corn tortillas. I'm just going to throw them on the griddle to make them more flexible. The more you cook them, the closer they're going to get to those dorados tacos, which is like crispy and fried. This time I just kind of wanted to make them flexible, more, what's that word I'm looking for? Should have looked this up. More pliable. Oh, that's $1 million word. I had to Google that. I topped mine with some cilantro and white onion, and then a little Cholula and another squeeze of lemon. This is so easy. It is a must-make taco for any griddle owner. Definitely give these a try. All right, back in the kitchen the night before to make a marinade for this copycat Chipotle chicken recipe on the griddle. This thing has been all over the internet for years from former employees of Chipotle. I think it's pretty darn close to their actual recipe, but mine always seems to come out hotter than Chipotle's for some reason. Here's the recipe, but again, it's also below. If you are worried about the heat, I would say use less of the Chipotle peppers. This calls for 4 peppers, then all the juice from the can. I would just use 3 or 2 peppers if you want less heat. Now, I don't think that the heat is too much, but it's definitely more than when you go to an actual Chipotle. Blend it all together, just throw it in a Ziploc bag with 8 boneless, skinless chicken thighs and let it marinate overnight. You could also do this with chicken breasts. The next day at the griddle, we are a little higher in temperature, around 400 degrees for this one. We want to get a little bit of char on that chicken. I heard one of the former employees in a video call it a Dr. Pepper char, so that must be part of their training or something. I didn't put any oil down because this was right after the steak, so the griddle had plenty of fat on it. I was actually doing both of these back to back for a taco bar when I had my family over. It was a good time. I made some cilantro rice and we kind of just did our own little Chipotle. A lot of fun. I wanted fajita veggies as well, which is why I threw down 1 red, yellow, green pepper sliced along with a red onion right next to the chicken. I gave those a good toss together. Eventually I added like half a packet of fajita seasoning to those veggies and a little bit of water. But now we'll flip the chicken. It's been about 10 minutes since I put them down. That may have been a bit too long, so check them after about 8 minutes. After another 2 to 3 minutes on the other side, we'll temp them. Again, this is my 2-in-1 ThermoPro, and this is why I love it, because it gets you the surface temperature, but it also does the internal temperature of your meat. I was really shooting for only like 175 on these thighs, so they are way more than done. I made myself my own little bowl, which definitely isn't as pretty as Chipotle. It's kind of like when you ask your mom to go to McDonald's and she's like, we got McDonald's at home. It's like, that's what I made, Chipotle at home. So not the prettiest, but man, it still tasted great. Again, all these recipes are below, or you can just get all 101 of my favorite griddle recipes for only $15 if you grab my ebook. That's also in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Keep on griddling, friends.